So HGPPS can have three. This is a horizontal gaze palsy with progressive scoliosis. There is a gaze palsy of the conjugate gaze for saccades, smooth pursuit, and VOR. There is a vertical gaze is intact. There is convergence is intact, and there is a pendular nystagmus quite often in these cases. And there could be a generalized hypotony also in these cases, which one should look for. Scoliosis is very important feature, which comes usually late by about 2 to 2.5 years. So if you have a young child, you may not find any scoliosis. And there's a lot of variation. Some may have less, some may have more. And there's a lot of radiological features which are classically seen in these cases, like pontine hypoplasia, butterfly pattern, and a tented fourth ventricle. I'll be seeing them as I'll be showing them as we proceed further in the patients. Now the genotype is ROBO3. About 24 mutations have been described, and this is the problem is because of the abnormal crossing of the long tract fibers in the medulla. They are not able to cross. Normally, the CNS works like crossing of fibers because balance is very important, and for balance we need crossing. So our CNS works on the basis of crossing of fibers. So what is happening, because these fibers can't find their way because of ROBO3 problem, so they are not able to move to the medial longitudinal fasciculus and ascend up. So there is no horizontal gaze. Otherwise, convergence pathway is different. So convergence is retained. So ROBO3 does neural migration, motor neuron development. So all these functions will be affected because once there is a problem with the ROBO3 gene. Now, there are two types have been described. The common one is HGPPS autosomal recessive, which is on chromosome 11 short arm. And there is another one which is rarely seen, which is caused by mutation in the DCC gene on chromosome 18 short arm. So this is something few cases have been described. The most important is the one on chromosome 11. Now, inheritance, as I said, is autosomal recessive, and sporadic also cases have been described. I'll be showing one inheritance and one sporadic, both cases. Now, this is, I'm showing a family. You have parents which were not affected, unfortunately, and we had 3 daughters and 3 sons. All 3 daughters are affected here and all 3 sons are not affected. So it looks like sex-linked dominant kind of pattern. It's very peculiar and very interesting. Now you look at this 3-year, somehow this panel is coming and you can't see the picture. Now this is a 3-year-old female child, as we say, they're all females. There's inward deviation of both the eyes since birth. There is horizontal conjugate gaze is absent for saccade, smooth pursuit, and vestibulo-ocular. There is up gaze restriction also in this patient, and there is convergence in up gaze, which I said doesn't happen in HGPPS. There is an esotropia, and there is right hypertropia of about 10 PD, and upper lid retraction and pendular nystagmus, which is commonly seen in these cases. So what is atypical here is that there is an up gaze limitation. Now, is it because of the pretectal features which were here in this patient, or it is some kind of CFUM variant which is getting into it? So it is a mixed presentation probably. Now, he also had a very generalized hypotony in all over. You can see how he can fold his limbs, and hyper flexible joints, unable to hold her neck. She is 3-year-old and she cannot hold her neck. And as I said, there was no scoliosis in this child till now. So it's a novel presentation, CFM3 or HGPPS mixed phenotype maybe. Now look at her sisters. This is an 11-year-old sister, progressive scoliosis since the age of 3.5 years, and there are no ocular complaints with her actually. You can see there is growth and mental retardation. There is scoliosis with convexity to the right side. All these 2 girls, all 3 I'll be showing, they will all have convexity to the right side of scoliosis. Now this is showing that you can see the motility. There is vertical gaze is intact and there is no horizontal gaze either way. So there is total lack of horizontal gaze. They also have a fine pendular nystagmus, most of them. And this is showing the pupils. You can see there is some anisocoria. The left pupil seems to be slightly larger and there is some kind of iris hypoplasia. The pattern is not very grossly seen as you see in normal people. So some iris hypoplasia, some pupillary anisocoria is there in this child. This is showing the fundus. The photographs are not very good, but there is intorsion in both the eyes. Some disc pallor, but intorsion is definitely which can be seen. And this is the 3rd child, 14-year-old girl. sister. There is scoliosis since the age of 4 years. No ocular complaints with a consulted orthopedic department for scoliosis, and ocular findings were totally overlooked in her. Now, here again, you have growth retardation, scoliosis with the convexity to the right side. As I said earlier, they all have right side scoliosis for some reason. And there is no Menake till now. She is about 14. So there is development is also delayed. This is showing her motility. Again, you find very symmetrical vertical gaze is intact, and there is no horizontal gaze. Some of them have convergence substitution for horizontal gaze, which we don't find here in this group of patients. Here again, you find some anisocoria. The left pupil is slightly larger than the right, and similar iris pattern, some kind of iris hypoplasia, and not very good crepes and claviculae you can see. Now, this is showing very gross intorsion. Now, why it happens, I am not able to say. Both patients had gross intorsion. As we can see here, this one is very gross. Now, the seminal features in these three, there is a bilateral horizontal gaze palsy with for saccade, smooth pursuit, and vestibulo-ocular reflex. The intact convergence, there is no convergence substitution for horizontal gaze. There is anisocoria, disc pallor, and intorsion. Mental and growth retardation, generalized hypotonia. In all three, it was present. There is a progressive scoliosis and signs of CFUM or pre-tetral syndrome in child number 1. He was not very cooperative, and these patients were lost to follow up after some time because they thought we are not benefiting them. We did get an MRI done on them, which I think this is the MRI. You can see that there is a gross pontine hypoplasia, if I can show with the cursor. You see how hypoplastic the pons is, and tenting of the fourth ventricle. See how big this has become. And you have quite often facial colliculi cannot be seen in the floor of the fourth ventricle. And there is a butterfly pattern on the medulla. That is, there is a cleft in the medulla because the fibers have not crossed. So there is a cleft in the medulla. So these are the prominent signs which you may find on a GPPS on neuroimaging. Now, linkage analysis, we had sent samples for blood and saliva samples to the Boston Children's Hospital to Ingles lab, and they did not find any ROBO3 abnormality in this cohort, but they are still looking at it. The process is still on. I don't know latest what they have done, but initially they did not find any abnormality. Now, another case I want to show is sporadic case, which was another 16-year-old female. There's progressive scoliosis since the age of 10 years, she says, and inability to move her eyes horizontally since birth. There was no family history in this patient, and antenatal history was insignificant. Now, this is again showing right scoliosis. As you can see, in all three patients, I have shown right scoliosis. I don't know why it is only happening to the right anyway. And she was also hypermetrope, about 40 PD of esotropia she had, and about +7, +6 refraction. So there was an esotropia which was accommodative in her, and because of that, her eyes had gone into, the MRs have gone into contracture because she can't move her horizontal eyes. So there was some kind of contracture, and with glasses also, her accommodative part could not be corrected. So she needed surgery. She goes in jerks. Now here also you find intorsion, which can be seen. So all three, and this is 9 gaze after we had done MR recession in both the eyes, about 5.5 millimeter, and you can see after surgery, her alignment is perfect. Slides are not moved. This is radiological features. You can see again, this child also, there is pontine hypoplasia, and those classical features of AGPPS can be seen. This is post-op as I showed you. Now, AGPPS is rare presentation. About more than 100 cases approximately have been described. Phenotype overlap with CFUM may be there, as we saw in this one. May present with accommodative esotropia or convergent substitution. May require surgery for these reasons. Most reports are from orthopedic and radiology specialties. And beware, eyes only see what mind knows. So you may miss the diagnosis. So it is important to tell that one may be aware of this, and so that you don't miss the diagnosis. There's very few slides about Mobius I want to show you, because this is again another condition which you may see once in a while. Now, Paul Julius Mobius, he was a Leipzig neurologist, also known for Mobius sign and Mobius disease, also known for monographs on physiology of weak-mindedness of women and pathology of men of genius. Now, Mobius syndrome or sequence has a lot of features which are very global. It is sporadic, heritable. Global CCDD may involve multiple nerves, facial palsy, unilateral, bilateral. Lower part of the face may be spared. There is limitation of abduction, bilateral, or there could be esotropia or could be exotropia also. This could be also unilateral, but you can also have most will have an eso, but rarely you can have ortho and exo also. So don't think that it will always produce an esotropia. There is a conjugate horizontal gaze palsy, DRS, CFUM could be sitting together with these with Mobius syndrome. So these possibilities should be there. About 1/3 of cases have DRS, bilateral DRS. So when you have DRS, you should also look for Mobius. So look for facial nerve function, and you may find that this is actually Mobius, which is presenting rather just a DRS. There is hypoplastic asymmetrical furrowed tongues in some of these cases, limb anomalies, speech, feeding problems, and mental retardation and autism are important features which need joint approach with neurologist and with pediatrician, and for autism, all that is required. So now this is showing one unilateral Mobius syndrome. You can see on the left side, his eye is an ESO, and there is a facial nerve palsy. You can see that this side, left side is sagging, and nose is also tipping to the right. So there is some kind of hemifacial microsomia, and the condition is because of the exposure, because there is a facial nerve palsy. This is showing 9 gazes. You can see that the eye doesn't, the left eye doesn't abduct, and so this presents like a unilateral 6 nerve, but this is other eye is normal, is having normal reductions. This is showing another one, bilateral Mobius. You can see the tongue is furrowed, hypoplastic, and these are very classical features which you may see. Not all of them have this. And this is showing cynodactyly and knock knees, a lot of features which you have in extremities, which can be there in Mobius. So you need to evaluate them systemically. They may also, as I said, they can cross with CFUM, and a lot of other findings can also be there on eye examination. So one should keep in mind the possibility of Mobius also when you are looking at CCDDs. Now Mobius conclusions, diverse in presentation, look for Mobius in infantile esotropia and DRS, maybe esotropia mostly. You can also have an ortho or exo Mobius syndrome. Surgical options are not the same, may not be the same, because here the problem is different. The 6 nerve is this thing affected, and MR may also be contractured. So you can't treat it like an infantile ESO. Check for facial nerve function and systemic associations. Thank you. With that, I come to the end. If there are any